Hello, we are now in Module 10, and our agenda for this lecture will be research process and methods, managing your data and using graphics, reporting tools. I'm going to go over an extra credit assignment for all of you guys, and then check-ins, discussions, and assignments. So let's start off with research process and methods. So the learning outcomes of this lecture is to identify the characteristics of a report and the various classifications of business reports. Use appropriate printed, electronic, and primary sources of information. Demonstrate appropriate methods of collecting, organizing, and referencing information. Explaining techniques for the logical analysis and interpretation of data. So there are different types of reports. There's three types here: formal, informal, short, or long. So formal is logically organized and objective. Style of writing eliminates elements like personal pronouns. Informal writing is written in natural or personal language. Short or long based on length, closely related to formal, informal reports. There's also these additional report types such as informational, which carries objective information from one area of an organization to another. Analytical, which presents suggested solutions to problems. Vertical, which is upward or downward directed. Lateral, which travels between units on the same organization level. Internal, which travels within an organization, such as a production or sales report. External, prepared for distribution outside of an organization. Periodic, which issued on regularly scheduled dates, so maybe like a newsletter type of report. Functional, serves a specified purpose within a company. So some of the methods for gathering research. First one is primary. Primary research is data collected for the first time for a specific purpose. Observational studies. Researcher observes and statistically analyzes phenomena to establish new principles or discoveries. Experimental research. Study of two samples with the same components before a variable is added to one of the samples. So that's primary research right there. Secondary research provides information that has already been reported by others. Easily accessible through electronic databases and bibliographical indexes, helps managers in determining the boundaries of knowledge. This is gathered through printed sources and electronic tools. So for this project, the majority of your sources are going to be coming from secondary research. So primary research, gathering brand new data. Surveys are the most common form of primary data. Very easy to do these days. Selected data collection method. Online surveys are probably the most popular. Telephone surveys, no one does that anymore, okay? Personal interviews, that's a good one. And email polling. You can also run surveys on social media now. You can run polls on Facebook. I don't know if any of you guys are on Facebook because you're more of a younger demographic, but you can run polls on Facebook. You can also run polls on Instagram too. I'm not sure about the other platforms, but so with online surveys, you can use a simple tool called SurveyMonkey. It's free, or you can get a paid version. Really easy to use. Primary research also develops an effective survey instrument. Test the instrument by asking others to complete and critique the questionnaire. So the secondary research already exists. Collecting secondary data. Avoid collecting a large amount of information. Evaluate the relevance of references by reading each article's title and abstract. This determines appropriateness to the topic. Take notes using various methods such as direct quotation or paraphrases. Now I'm going to explain to you between quantitative and qualitative. So these are pretty important slides here. Quantitative research, large sample sizes, close-ended questions, statistically representative of a larger population. An example would be a survey with multiple choice and true or false questions. That's quantitative research. Qualitative research is smaller sample size, open-ended questions, not statistically representative of larger population. An example of this would be a focus group of maybe 8 participants or less. So qualitative versus quantitative. Additional resources on surveys and research, you can click on this link here to read up more on that. Next up, we're going to discuss managing data and using graphics. So the learning outcomes of this section is to communicate quantitative information effectively, apply principles of effectiveness and ethical responsibilities in the construction of graphic aids, select and design appropriate and meaningful graphics, integrate graphics within documents. So an effective use of graphics. Business is constantly communicating numbers. Numbers are better understood in visual representations such as a graphic, bar charts, pie charts, tables, graphics, all types of illustrations used in written and spoken reports. Questions that determine the aptness and effectiveness of graphic elements. Is a graphic needed to clarify, reinforce, or emphasize a particular idea? So this is what you need to ask yourself. Does a graphic representation contribute to the overall understanding of the data? Me personally, I love to see graphics. I'm more of a visual person, so I like to see the charts and the numbers trending. So here's some examples of some different types of graphics. Infographics are used to show numbers. Here's a bar graph, a pie chart graph. These can be, the ones here on the right, they can easily be done in, created in Word, Excel. The ones on the left here are a little more complicated, but you can use a free tool called Canva to create these where they have templates. And I'm going to go over that in a second. Considerations when using graphics. Is a graphic easily understood? Avoid chart junk. Develop consistent design for graphics. Write meaningful titles that reinforce the point being made. Is a graphic honest? For presentations, is a graphic used in the presentation visible to the entire audience? You don't want to make a graphic so complicated and tiny that when you're in the audience, you can't even see the graphic. Choosing the appropriate graphic to fit your objective. So you might need to zoom in on this slide here, but here are some examples of the graphic type and the objective of the graphic. So tables, bar chart, line chart, pie chart. These are the most common here. A Gantt chart, a map, a flow chart, and a photograph. And these are the objectives that go with it. Tables and bar charts. A table presents data in columns and rows, aids in clarifying large quantities of data within a small space. A bar chart is a graphic used to compare quantities, grouped. Compare more than one quantity at each point along a y-axis or an x-axis, otherwise known as clustered bar chart. Again, you can create these easily in Word or Excel. I think Excel makes is the easiest one to create them. Segmented bar chart and pictographs. Segmented shows how different facts contribute to a total figure, otherwise known as subdivided stacked bar or 100% bar chart. Pictograms or pictograph use pictures or symbols to illustrate objects, concepts, or numerical relationships. Line charts. This is a very popular one. Depict changes in quantitative data over time and illustrates trends. Trends meaning, is the trend going up? Is the trend going down? Is the trend staying neutral? Design guidelines. Use the vertical axis for amount and the horizontal axis for time. Begin the vertical axis at 0. Pie charts, another very popular one, show subdivisions of a whole, which all the totals equal 100%. Design guidelines are to position the slice to be emphasized at the 12 o'clock position. Label each slice and include information about quantitative size. Flowcharts, step-by-step diagram of a procedure or a graphic depiction of a system or organization. Resolve a variety of problems to support written analysis. Minimize the chance of error. A lot of product managers and project managers use flowcharts at organizations. An organization chart, also known as an org chart. We kind of went over this earlier in the semester. It displays a hierarchy of an organization, functional departments, and reporting structure. So this is just another example of it. Including graphics in text, such as a report. You will be using graphics in your analytical report project in this class. Graphics are embedded within the text material. If you're having trouble making a graphic, you can easily Google a YouTube video on how to create a graphic in Word or Excel. Avoid restating what the graphic obviously depicts when interpreting and analyzing the graphic. Strive for natural transition from the discussion of the graphic to the next point. Here's an example here. So you have your information, right? You have your chart visually showing the information, and then you have your chart labeled of what the chart is, and it's called figures usually. When you're in Word, there is actually a chart option where it'll name all your figures for you. Additional resources on how to create charts. These 3 links here will help you out with that. Reporting tools. These are the main reporting tools that people use these days. Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, Excel include features of report development and data visualization. PowerPoint's really popular in the business world. That's pretty much what you use. Google Drive offers an alternative with Google Docs, Sheets, and Slides, which is pretty much the same thing as Word, Excel, and a PowerPoint. I use Google Drive a lot, almost for everything. I use Google Drive probably more than I use Office now, just because you can share it easily. I can get to it from any computer from my phone. Prezi is a great presentation software. It's really easy to use. It's free. It uses motion, zoom, and spatial relationships. Infographics are another choice for report development and presentations. They offer more visual and sometimes interactive ways to communicate data findings. So Spark is a big one, Pictochart, Easily, Vintage. I use Canva for everything. And when I mean to create charts, I mean like kind of like the more charts like the infographics here. They have so many templates, free templates in Canva, where everything's created and you just plug in your information to make it change. So speaking of Canva, your extra credit assignment, if you would like, everyone likes extra credit, right? Especially when you don't have to write a paper. Create a free Canva account at canva.com. Go through all 12 videos in the Canva Graphic Design Basics course. Here is the link here. Within the 12 videos, complete the 9 activities in the tutorial, so you must be logged in to access this. After creating each activity, save and download your work as a PNG file. Place all the PNG files into a Word document and upload to Canvas for grading. And this is going to be worth 10 extra credit points. Okay, so if you have any issues with this, please send me an email because Canva does change things around. So hopefully you can still go through all these 12 videos and 9 activities. It's really easy, and it just kind of shows you the steps on how to create things in Canva and how easy it really is. And then you're going to love it and use it for everything. Okay, Module 10 assignments are Quiz 8, Managing Data and Using Graphics. Written assignment number 1, Bad News Message. Make sure you go into Canvas and read what the written assignment is and how to do it. It's kind of like a quiz, but kind of not. You are timed and you get one chance to do it, but you can read the prompt in advance and kind of practice and rewrite it on a separate document and then upload it. So read this sooner than later. In case you have questions, you can email me. Okay, and have a great week.